Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila. Welcome to my book nook. So today's video is going to be an individual book review for the book Give the Dark My Love by Beth Revis, I believe the book is by. That's the author's name. So if you're new and you don't know how my individual book reviews work around here, that's perfectly okay. I will explain it to you. So first, I will give you the synopsis, for which I will use my computer that is in the corner over there on the bed. And I will give you a brief synopsis so that you know what the book is about. And then I will give you my thoughts and feelings, my likes and my dislikes, and all that fun stuff, and I'll give you my rating somewhere along the line. You can also always follow me on my Storygraph or my Goodreads or even my Instagram if I have posted a review about it. Anyways, if you follow me on my Goodreads and my Storygraph, you will most definitely see a rating somewhere and a small review. So, and then I will give you sort of a list of the kind of readers who will benefit from reading this book, who will enjoy this book as much as I did, or who will enjoy it more than I did. And I've tried to adopt this mentality that I will recommend a book regardless of whether I liked it or not. However, if I truly disliked a book, I won't be able to recommend it in good faith. So, let's get to it. I'm just going to pull up my Goodreads because that's where I'm getting the thing. Also, I'm trying out different angles, okay? So bear with me while I try to find the best angle for both me and the bookshelves, and one that doesn't make me look stupid or the books look stupid, because I have a very small room, so we're not working with a lot here. And today's review, I am happy to report, is going to be a fairly positive one because I thoroughly enjoyed this book. So this book I read as part of a now abandoned book video idea reading vlog thing, where I found a bunch of dark academia-esque books, including obviously The Secret History and If We Were Villains and Babel, the OGs, so to speak, and I would read them. So I would take the random wheel generator, put in all the names, let it spin, and I'd read them one by one. And at some point, I just sort of tapered off, and I don't know if I have the footage for all of that anymore. So, unfortunately, you may never get that reading vlog unless I find all the footage and decide to continue it. And I was just getting a little bit burnt out with the fact that I had to keep to this TBR. And I don't do TBRs because they just don't work with me. So it worked for a little while and then it just doesn't happen. So here is the synopsis for the book. Beth Revis, I was correct in the author's name. When 17-year-old Nedra Bristain leaves her home in the rural okay, I'm really bothered by how high this portion of the tripod is, so we're just gonna let y'all down a bit. Ugh. I think this is still better than how it looked before. Why does it look crooked though? Okay, I'm still gonna be looking down, but at least this way y'all aren't up here and I'm down here, you know? So, when 17-year-old Nedra Bristain leaves her home in the rural northern territories of Lunar Island to attend the prestigious Yugen Academy, she has only one goal learn the trade of medicinal alchemy. I apparently can't read. A scholarship student matriculating with the children of Lunar Island's wealthiest and most powerful families, Nedra doesn't quite fit in with the other kids at Yugen, who all look down at her. All except for Gregory Gray Astor. Gray is immediately taken by the brilliant and stubborn Nedra, who he notices is especially invested in her studies. And that's for good. This synopsis is so badly written, holy cow. And that's for a good reason. A deadly plague has been sweeping through the north and is making its way toward the cities. With her family's life and the lives of all of Lunar Island's citizens on the line, Nedra is determined to find a cure for the plague. Gray and Nedra continue to grow closer, but as the sickness spreads and the body count rises, Nedra becomes desperate to find a cure. Soon, she finds herself diving into alchemy's most dangerous corners, and when she turns to the most forbidden practice of all, necromancy, even Gray might not be able to pull her from the darkness. Okay, so this is a young adult fantasy, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily romantasy, but it's definitely leaning that way. And again, this was published in like 2018, so also before all the romantasy craze had gone down. So that's the synopsis. Apologies for the stumbling, because I don't know who the hell wrote that synopsis, because there were so many like mistakes, and also apparently I can't read. But yeah, so here are my likes and dislikes. I thought it was really entertaining, and the plot twist is something I saw coming, but the way that it built up, I definitely didn't see the build-up of it. And I really enjoyed it, and it's really entertaining and also pretty fast-paced. It's also dual POV, so you get Nedra's point of view as well as Gray's point of view, and oh, the romance is to die for. There's slight enemies to lovers, so Nedra thinks that Gray is like every other Lunar Island kid, and when he proves to her that he's not, they sort of form a friendship, and it's so good. So there's slight enemies to lovers, but not like super enemies to lovers. There's necromancy, and the magic system is very interesting. Although I don't think I fully understood it, I know that there are consequences. So you eventually get tired from using the magic, right? From using the alchemy. And I really like it when the magic system has like physical or even mental consequences, because we think of magic as like the end all be all answer in a lot of worlds that are built by these authors. However, if it's truly a thing, right, it should have consequences just as every other thing has consequences, right? So yeah, anyway, that's my little spiel. And I didn't dislike much. I don't remember why I rated it 4.5 or whatever, 4.75 stars. I think it left me wanting a little bit more, because I felt like the end definitely spiked up really fast. Like it went really fast at the end, and it just like reveal after reveal after reveal after reveal. And while that does work for a lot of fantasy books, I think it works more for the longer ones, especially for example like Brandon Sanderson, who has his famous Sanderlanche. But he does it in a way that fits the book length, and I think what was lacking was the amount of pages didn't really count with the, like, it didn't equalize with the sort of spike in reveals, if that makes sense. So it didn't, like, when the reveals started, it was very, very close to the end, and it felt like there wasn't enough payoff. It felt like there wasn't enough build up to sort of sustain that climax point and sustain that reveal, especially the big one. So yeah, but otherwise I really enjoyed it, although the romance kind of ticked me off because I'm not a huge fan of the miscommunication trope, and I'm always just yelling at the characters to please talk and not like play games, because I don't like that in real life. What makes you think I'm gonna like that in books? You know, I want the characters to just be honest, but obviously it also creates some tension. But like, Nedra says to Gray, I love you, and then the next moment she just like runs away. Like, I'm gonna be as confused as Gray is. I don't blame him for being confused. You know, that's an example. I don't think it actually happened if I remember correctly, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just that sort of style of miscommunication. So definitely, if you don't really like that, it's not as, you know, abrasive or as at the forefront, but it's definitely there, and it might lessen your enjoyment of this book. As for who it's recommended for, I would say those that want a slight dark academia-esque book. It's not necessarily at the forefront. We don't really see Nedra full-on study. It's not like The Secret History or Babel or If We Were Villains, but there are scenes where she's studying and she's taking classes and she's, you know, working with one of the professors and stuff like that. So there are academic scenes. However, it's not the crux of the book. And the crux of the book is mainly her trying to figure out how to help with this plague and the sickness without catching it herself, since she is a student at the academy, and that's worth something, even if she's from basically the middle of nowhere. And there are just some really sad parts, and yeah, I don't know. For those that want like a finished duology, I would definitely recommend this, because again, it's a finished duology. You don't have to wait ages for the next book. And while this book does have a slightly lower rating on Goodreads, I genuinely enjoyed it. And I just think maybe the people that read it weren't in the right age range or in the right maybe mindset for it, because it's actually a genuinely well written book and I really enjoyed it. And with how dark it got, I feel like Book Talk would enjoy this. It didn't get like super dark, but it got pretty dark. Like, it got dark, you know? And the next one is sort of this whole alchemy versus necromancy thing. I feel like there's an innate curiosity with this sort of light versus dark subject matter, especially with alchemy and necromancy. I feel like a lot of people enjoy reading about necromancy because you could twist it in so many different ways, as well as alchemy. And there's just this curiosity that comes from people. I love books with necromancy, especially if there's a twist to it. One of my favorite books, which I have not shut up ever since I've read it, one of my favorite series, is the Old Kingdom trilogy. I said trilogy, although there's more than 3 books, but the main Old Kingdom trilogy follows, book 1, Sabriel, follows like the necromancer, except she doesn't like raise people from the dead, she puts them back to sleep. So someone else has raised them and she puts them back to sleep. So she's like a good necromancer. And I thought that twist was so interesting because we don't see that. We always see the necromancers as the bad guys. In this case, she is a necromancer. By definition, she deals with the dead, right? However, she's like the opposite of what you would expect a necromancer to be, and I thought it was such an interesting twist. So definitely, if you have this sort of want to read something with alchemy, necromancy, and with a twist, I would highly recommend this book. And also, if you want a main character who knows what she's doing and she has a very specific goal and she is able to a certain extent to attain this goal, and I don't know, I really enjoyed reading like about Nedra and how strong-willed she is. So she was a great character. I really enjoyed reading her. Except for the few moments of miscommunication with Gray, I think she was fantastic. And she just does so much that she can in her power as someone from like the middle of nowhere in this kingdom. And she does more. She like did more than all the professors at her academy combined. All these researchers, all these scientists combined. Like this small girl, this girl from the small town, you know, that barely gets any doctors and stuff, that have had to figure out how to deal with this plague on their own and received no aid from the people that are supposed to be taking care of them. Like, she did more for her whole country, for her people, than all these rich a-holes did. So yeah, so in conclusion, I really enjoyed this book. I think my rating was 4.5, 4.75. I'm not sure why. I don't really remember why I knocked off the 0.5. I think it was just like missing something. Don't remember what it was exactly, but yeah. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you're going to read this book, let me know down below. If you have read this book, let me know your thoughts. As usual, follow me on all my socials. And, you know, check out the links down below. Check out my other videos. And I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!